The 1970s was the golden age of soul food restaurants in Black America. These weren't just places to eat, they were sanctuaries. They were where families gathered, where business deals were made over collard greens and cornbread, where elders passed down wisdom over plates of fried chicken and mac and cheese. These restaurants were owned by Black families, run by Black hands, decorated with Black pride, and filled with the sounds of Black laughter and conversation. In a nation that was still learning to see Black people as fully human, these restaurants declared boldly, "We exist, we create, we thrive, we deserve beauty and abundance." The soul food restaurant of the 1970s was more than a business venture. It was an act of resistance, a statement of cultural ownership, and a sanctuary from a world that constantly diminished Blackness. When a family walked through the doors of a soul food restaurant, they weren't just getting fed. They were being seen. They were being honored. They were home. Roscoe's House of Chicken and Waffles, Los Angeles. Roscoe's opened in 1975 in South Los Angeles as an audacious combination of two foods that shouldn't work together, but somehow created magic. The name itself was a statement. Roscoe's House, claiming ownership, claiming it as family space, claiming it as ours. Walking into Roscoe's meant entering a place where the impossible became possible. Chicken and waffles, fried chicken seasoned to perfection, served alongside fluffy waffles and syrup. The chicken was crispy outside, tender inside. The waffles were golden and steaming. The combination was indulgent in a way that felt revolutionary. Families would come dressed in their best after church. Young couples on dates. Groups of teenagers treating it like an event. The red vinyl booths, the vintage memorabilia on the walls, the sense that you were part of something legendary. Roscoe's proved that Black entrepreneurship could be audacious. The combination of chicken and waffles wasn't a compromise between two cuisines. It was a bold statement that Black culinary creativity didn't need permission or justification. In a decade when Black businesses were fighting for survival and respect, Roscoe's thrived by being unapologetically itself. It became a landmark, a destination, a proof of concept that Black-owned businesses could achieve excellence and longevity. Decades later, people still talk about Roscoe's with reverence because it represented Black ownership and Black pride made tangible and delicious. Sylvia's Restaurant, Harlem, New York. Sylvia's opened in 1962, but reached its legendary status in the 1970s under Sylvia Wood's careful stewardship. The restaurant became the de facto heart of Harlem, a place where the community gathered to eat, celebrate, mourn, and belong. Sylvia's wasn't fancy in the way white restaurants were fancy. It was elegant in its simplicity and honesty. The walls held pictures of Harlem's famous residents and visitors. The kitchen was visible, the work was visible, the care was visible. When you ordered collard greens at Sylvia's, you got collard greens, cooked low and slow with ham hock, spiced with pepper, the liquid a golden elixir. The fried chicken was legendary. The macaroni and cheese was dense and creamy. But beyond the food was the hospitality. Sylvia herself worked the dining room, greeting people, asking about their families, making sure everyone felt seen and cared for. Sylvia's represented the democratization of excellence. Under Sylvia's ownership, soul food wasn't something to hide or apologize for. It was something to celebrate and elevate. She proved that Black women could build generational wealth and respect through hard work, good food, and genuine hospitality. Sylvia's became a model not just for restaurants, but for Black business ownership and community leadership. The restaurant showed that you didn't need to abandon your culture or your community to achieve success. You achieved success through them. Mama's on Sunset, Los Angeles. Mama's was unpretentious and fierce. It served soul food with no apologies, no attempting to dress it up for a mainstream audience. It was Black food for Black people, made by people who understood the legacy and the love that went into every dish. Walking into Mama's, you immediately felt the warmth. The portions were generous, not just filling, but abundant, a visual representation of love and care. The fried chicken skin was crackling. The collard greens tasted like generations of knowledge. The cornbread was buttered and golden. The yams were candied to perfection. The chitlins, the oxtails, the pig's feet, all the foods that white America had deemed unworthy were prepared with the kind of skill and pride that elevated them beyond sustenance into art. Mama's represented culinary pride and the refusal to accept external hierarchies about what was valuable and what was not. The foods that enslaved and oppressed people had been forced to eat, their descendants had transformed into treasured traditions. Mama celebrated this transformation without hesitation or shame. It said clearly, this is our food, this is our heritage, this is our excellence. 4. Catfish Kona. Various southern cities. Catfish Kona was a chain concept, but each location was locally owned and operated by Black families. The name itself was a nod to Southern tradition, to the foods that sustain communities, to the wisdom of eating what was available and accessible. Catfish Kona meant fried catfish, crispy, flaky, prepared with a batter that had been perfected over generations, served with hush puppies, collard greens, cornbread, and sweet tea. The catfish was the star, but everything around it was essential. The hush puppies were crispy outside, fluffy inside. The greens had that perfect balance of seasoning. The cornbread was slightly sweet, perfect for soaking up the savory juices on your plate. Catfish Kona represented regional pride and the validation of Southern Black culinary tradition. In the 1970s, there was still cultural pressure for Black people to assimilate, to distance themselves from Southern roots that were associated with slavery and rural poverty. Catfish Kona refused this. It said, we're Southern, we're proud of it. Our food is delicious and dignified. By franchising the concept, Black entrepreneurs proved they could replicate and expand their cultural institutions, creating multiple sites of belonging and economic opportunity. 5. Gladys Knight's Chicken and Waffles, Atlanta. Gladys Knight, already a music legend by the 1970s, opened her restaurant as an extension of her brand and her love for her community. It was celebrity ownership, but it was authentic. She didn't just lend her name, she was genuinely invested. Gladys Knight's was where excellence was non-negotiable. The chicken was prepared as if Gladys herself would be eating it, and sometimes she was. The waffles were fluffy, the syrup was warm, the butter melted into everything. The restaurant was decorated with warmth and sophistication. Photographs of Gladys's career achievements lined the walls. There was a sense that you were dining in the home of someone who had made it, but who hadn't forgotten where she came from. Gladys Knight's restaurant represented the bridge between the artistic and the culinary, between celebrity and community. It showed that successful Black artists could invest back into their communities, could create spaces that reflected their values and heritage. The restaurant became a gathering place for Harlem's artistic and cultural elite, but it was accessible. A family could save money and treat themselves to Gladys Knight's experience. It democratized excellence. Etta's Lounge, Philadelphia. Etta's was known for its authentic Gullah Geechee cuisine. The foodways of the Sea Islands with their specific blend of African, Caribbean, and Southern influences. This wasn't generic soul food. It was highly specific, highly intentional. At Etta's, you could taste the ocean and the earth simultaneously. The shrimp was prepared with a kind of reverence. The rice was cooked with skill and tradition. The okra was treated as a precious ingredient, not a filler. The biscuits were buttery and perfect. Everything on the plate told a story. Stories of ancestors, of specific places, of knowledge passed down through generations. Etta herself was often in the dining room telling those stories, connecting customers to the heritage in every bite. Etta's represented the preservation of specific cultural traditions during a time when homogenization was the pressure. Instead of generic soul food, Etta's offered something more precise, more rooted, more intentionally connected to heritage. This mattered because it resisted the flattening of Black culture into a single narrative. It said there are many ways to be Black, many traditions, many roots. Etta's preserved something that might have been lost. We've savored the stories of these first few legendary spots, but the true feast of resilience, community, and mouth-watering tradition is far from over. These aren't just restaurants, they are sanctuaries where dignity was served right along with the greens and cornbread. If you're hungry for more of this timeless history and the soul that powered a generation, you absolutely need to join us for the rest of the list. Hit that like button, subscribe to keep the legacy alive, and click the link for part 2, where we uncover the rest of the tables where community truly fed itself.